Hi guys, it's Orlando City UK here, and I'm delighted to say I'm joined by a very special guest today. You'll know him on Twitter as the English Lion One. It's Orlando City UK member and fellow Orlando City diehard, Mr. Dan Berridge. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yes, mate. Yes, I've really been looking forward to this chat today. It's been a short off season, but I don't know if you asked me last season, it seems like ages and ages ago. The hype, the anticipation is building right now, as it always does. We're a week out, and we're going to be previewing the upcoming 2022 season, Orlando City season, with Dan today. We're going to split this interview into three parts. First, we're going to speak to Dan about how he fell in love with the Lions. We're, of course, going to take a deep dive into 2022 and what the season could hold for Oscar Pereira's side. And then lastly, we're going to ask Dan a quick fire list of miscellaneous Orlando City questions. Really looking forward to Dan's answers on these. We did them with Charlotte, fellow Orlando City UK member, at the preview for last season. Can't wait to see what Dan's got for those. So lots and lots to cover. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Dan, I mean, I've known you for years now. Many of OC Twitter has as well. But I want to hear from you in your own words. What does supporting Orlando City mean to you? And right now, it's the perfect time with all the hype and anticipation.
Yeah, it's been sort of a labour of love, really, isn't it? I mean, you'll know as well as anyone. Stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning, watch your team. You kind of get emotionally attached after a while. I've been following the team for about 11 years now, since its inception. So it's almost become as much of a part of my footballing life as my hometown team. But it is, they both mean just as much to me now. So I'm just really excited for the season. I think we're gonna have a good one, I think.
Yeah, you're very hopeful. I am too, and we'll get into the nitty gritty of what 2022 could hold. But before we do, I mean, you're very active on your Twitter account, running the English Lion. You do the previews like I do, and we're both mad for it. But I want to talk, because you've been over to the States already before the season. When you're over there, you're hanging around Exploria Stadium. You're on iDrive and all of the other spots. How welcoming does the club and the supporters make you feel when you're over there? Like, we all say it feels like home, but just tell us about that.
Yeah, people are just so willing to talk to you and just to make you feel welcome. Even outside of the stadium. I remember not this trip, but the trip before, I was walking around Disney and I met one of the cast members and he was in ILF and he was just we were chatting for ages. And then this trip, I was walking around Disney Springs in my USL top, and a guy, another cast member, ran over and was chatting to me for ages. It's just everybody's just so excited, especially when they hear your accent and they realise you're not local. They're it can't sort of mind blown a little bit, really. But in terms of at the game and stuff like that, people are just so welcoming. And one of the things, my very first MLS game, this will always stick with me. We lost 4-1 to Columbus, and football wise, it was dreadful.
Yeah.
But the fans just didn't stop. Yeah. Even at 3-0 down, it was just, there was 40,000 people there that day. It was just constant chanting, singing, jumping up and down. Just a real carnival atmosphere. Whereas in English football, if I'm at a Forest game and they're 3-0 down, it's not quite as friendly.
Yeah.
It's just the feeling around the club. It's just an amazing community and team to be involved in, really.
Yeah, that's the word I always use when people talk to me about it. It's that community feel, and it sounds cliche and cheesy, but myself and you, we know so many of the supporters and people in the front office now, and it, like you said, it feels like our club. It's kind of lends itself to my next question. For any listeners who don't know already, I'm a massive Arsenal supporter, have been since birth. Dan is a massive Nottingham Forest supporter. We won't mention the FA Cup, side note, from a few weeks ago. But
I might.
Well, but I mean, we're always going to support our English clubs, aren't we? But you've touched on it, but what is it exactly that makes Orlando City so different from being at the City Ground?
It's just, I mean, football-wise, it's completely different. I think MLS, as the years have gone by, there's more of a South American, sort of Central American influence. The style of play is different, and in the Championship, it's more sort of physical. There's a lot of good technical teams as well, but it's just a different style of football, and it's just nice to watch something different. But in terms of like the clubs themselves,
yeah,
I think in some ways the fan base, I don't know, I can't obviously speak for Arsenal, but with Forest and Orlando, the expectations and the like willingness to get behind the team are pretty much the same. There's a real passion there,
yeah.
but as I like touched on earlier, I feel like there's just more tribalism in English football, which can be quite poisonous sometimes. As amazing as it can be when things are going well, like the atmospheres are incredible, but it's like more of a family welcoming atmosphere. Like in Orlando, like you can take your kids to the game, which you can't really do that here. A friend of mine the other day was really surprised to learn there's like an age limit at most English grounds. It's just a completely different atmosphere, really. It's just amazing. I love both teams just as much. Like this weekend, I've got Forest on Saturday, Orlando on the Sunday. Like proper football weekend. It's just going to be great. Really excited.
We're back to those weekends, aren't we? Soon, where we're hoping for a couple of results, and the weekends where Arsenal and Orlando win, when Forest and Orlando win. I mean, they're few and far between, aren't they? So hopefully, there's more of those as we go throughout 2022. For me, like you said, it's the community tailgate. I can't wait to be in a Ruckus LF tailgate again. It's the differences for us. Like so many of our timelines are obviously American followers, and that all of that stuff is novel to us. Because we've not been brought up on it in the same way. There's nowhere I'd rather be in the hours leading up to kickoff than in those tailgates, speaking to the people who you're going to see on the wall in a couple of hours. And just talking about it gives me goosebumps because, I'm going to be over there later this year and just can't wait. So without further ado, let's get into 2022 then. It's our 8th season in MLS. I mean, time flies, doesn't it? 8th season. Can you believe that? Oscar Pereira's third season. Yes, his third season in charge. An incredible debut season, didn't he? I mean, I gave that 9 out of 10. MLS's back tournament final runners-up, reaching playoffs for the first time. And I think 2021 Orlando City, it was a tough act to follow, weren't it? Because we had the squad there. We had a very talented squad. But all of last season, we obviously, went out to a strong Nashville side. Probably no shame in that. They were very strong last year. But was altogether steady, but quite disappointing. It really was one of those seasons where it depended if you was a glass half full or a glass half empty fan. Now, tell us, in general, where is your head at now with 2022? Because we've obviously lost some key players, DK, Nani, Mueller, and we've got new guys coming in. Is it going to be a season of transition, or can we still shoot for the top? I want to hear your, initial thoughts.
I think we can definitely still shoot for the top. I'm excited about the squad, but also at the same time, and I was saying to Gavin from Blind's blog the other day that we need 3 or 4 more additions. I think, and I know we'll touch on that later. I think the playoffs are an absolute minimum this year, and I think with the way last season ended, I think it needs to be a home playoff. I think if anything less than a home playoff, I think questions are going to be asked. In terms of the playoffs themselves, obviously we need an improvement on last year because it was just one and done. Whereas before, the first season it wasn't like an outright victory, but we obviously got through the first hurdle and then ultimately fell short to a very good New England side. So, I think home playoffs, absolute minimum this year. And the Open Cup's back this year. I don't see why we can't be shooting for that. Trophies are trophies. At the end of the day, everybody wants silverware. Like I would take a winning the Open Cup and not winning MLS Cup over sort of, you know, I want trophies, basically. That's what I'm trying to say, in a very poor way.
I know that completely as well. I mean, trophies were what we did in the minor leagues in the USL. We were so close to that first MLS era trophy, weren't we? At MLS's back, and just, you know, like to the furore and the excitement around Orlando City. You know, 7 seasons in, soon to be 8. Oh, if we won something, we'd all be unbearable on Twitter. I mean, you know, our hardcore fans love this club, you know, and we'll back it to the hilt. Like you say, the feeling of winning anything, whether it is the Open Cup, you know. Do I think we can win an MLS Cup? I mean, it's really hard to predict in MLS, isn't it? I think you're right. I want a home playoff game. That was the frustration, wasn't it, last year? I mean, for much of the season, we thought home playoff game, you know, search for it. And we kind of became unstuck in the middle to the latter third of the season. Yeah, I think you're right. I want to be finishing towards the top of the Eastern Conference, and we've got a lot of the squad. We've got a lot of the spine. Galaise still there, Janssen, Carlos, Urso, Mendes, and then the new guys. So hopefully, you know, we're rewarded for that continuity, which I think is so important in any league, but especially MLS.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you look back at that last year, obviously NYCFC were a great side, but no one would have really called them at the start of the season.
Yeah.
That I would argue probably their squad was in a stronger place than ours is this time last year, if that makes sense. Yeah. I still want to see us make a few more additions. But yeah, for me, MLS is so even. Yeah. Like any team can win from year to year, so you have to be shooting for all the trophies. Yeah. You know, we've got the supporter shield. The supporter shield's difficult because you really need a strong squad to kind of with the travel and, you know, picking up points consistently. It's a tough ask. I think that probably would be a season or two too soon for Orlando. But once you get into the playoffs, it's anyone's game. It really is.
Yeah. And that's it, isn't it? You know, like the thing that was levelled at Nani from Matt Doyle and, you know, other pundits, you know, in our MLS history so far, the young history, is that when it has come down to those last few games and a decision day and then you roll into the playoffs, are we really ready and at our strongest then? And we probably haven't been so far. I mean, the additions that have come in this winter, they look great on paper, don't they? They're full internationals. Erkin Kara with Austria, Facundo Torres, even more established at a younger age, 21 for Uruguay. And, you know, it's a new season with the Wolves in charge now. They've flexed their financial muscle to replace, you know, what was a really strong duo. What Nani did for the club can't be understated. We didn't win anything, but he took Orlando City to another level. DK, you know, one of the best super draft picks there will be. Fantastic player that we regrettably had to let go. But the signings look good on paper, and all the spotlight is going to be on the jewel in the crown, Facundo Torres. I mean, I was listening to what the guys at MLS were saying about him this week, and they said he's a guy that, you know, has a massive high ceiling, full international already, but he's coming into Orlando City and not having to be the guy that does it all. What do you think about that? Because for me personally, you know, he's 21, Uruguay international. We chased him all winter. So, I mean, there's a lot of hype and he's going to have to deliver, isn't he, Facundo Torres?
Yeah, I think the key for him is how he delivers, how he manages, the expectations, because I think the expectations are going to be sky high, just purely because of the price tag. Yeah. He from like watching his clips and stuff. Obviously, I'm not a Uruguayan football expert at all, but he looks like a player who can drift in between the lines, you know, shoot, can cross, can, you know, just looks an all-round really good player. He's full international honours with Uruguay. Yeah. So I don't think there'll be quite the same expectation as there was with Nani in terms of like Nani was the guy. Like you said, he he had to perform, otherwise the team didn't perform at times.
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily going to be that sort of expectation on Torres, because I think you've got players like Urchin Kara who've come in. Gaston Gonzalez is potentially coming in. He'll be another one that's kind of people will be looking for big outputs from.
Yeah.
And then obviously you've got likes of Pereira and Urso and mainstays of the team who will try and keep everything on a level footing. So yeah, I think it's just going to be how he manages that. But he's played for Uruguay. He's a talented player. He seems like he's got a good mentality, like he's got good people behind him.
Yeah.
He seems focused. I'm really excited to see him play. I'm really excited.
I think the thing with Torres for me is, it was a saga, wasn't it? I mean, over here in the UK, we were, we've been translating Spanish articles like never before, and it was a daily Torres update. Will he? Won't he? Will he? Won't he? I think it was a big deal from the club to get this guy in. At stages, it really looked like we wasn't going to sign him. Penarol, his Uruguayan team, of course, very difficult to negotiate with. The fact he wanted to be here in Orlando, though, and I saw the fans gave him a good greeting at McCoy International Airport. And honestly, the more Googling and the more YouTubing you do around this guy, it's not, it only gives you some semblance of a play. We've got to see how he actually plays for Orlando City. But this guy is so highly rated. South American football, you've got Julian Alvarez, the guy who's going to be at Manchester City next season, that we was interested in, ironically, about a year ago. And then Torres wasn't too far down the list. And we're talking about South America here. I mean, the talent on that continent. So the hype and the anticipation is there. I'm going to skip ahead quickly now because Marima, my good friend Marima on Twitter, one of her questions, and we'll field some of your other questions later in the show, but one of her questions was, what kind of goal scoring output are you expecting from Torres? Now, he left Penarol 71 appearances, I'm just reading now, 16 goals, 15 assists, so handsome numbers for a guy that hasn't played a ton of first-team football. I mean, he only made his debut in 2020. How many goals are you expecting him to get this year, Dan?
It's difficult because, I mean,
yeah,
he's clearly a creative player who's probably going to set up just as many goals as he's going to score. But also, when you look at his price tag, for the position he plays, you've got to be looking for at least 10. But it's difficult because it's his first season in a new team, new country, a new league. So I would advocate for sort of tempering expectations, but yeah, I think for that sort of money, that sort of position, you're probably looking at sort of 10 plus. That's what, in an ideal world, that's what you'd be looking for.
I think obviously, lots of things at play, international call-ups with Uruguay, hopefully, knock on wood, he's injury-free throughout his debut season in MLS. I'm just looking back at our charts from last season, and Daryl Dike was our top goal scorer all competitions, 11 goals. And, he was bit part, because he was at Barnsley and then he was at the Gold Cup and then he was back with us, still ended up our top scorer. Second was Nani with 10 goals. They all came in MLS, of course. And then after that, the drop-off, Junior Urso was our third highest goal scorer, 4 goals. So we're going to need more output. And Urchin Kara, prolific target man striker out of Austria. He is 25, mistake me if I'm wrong, might be 26. But he's another guy. So Torres, we've spoke about, pedigree, full international at a young age, playing with, the likes of Suarez, Cavani at his age. I mean, he's going to be a jewel in the crown. Urchin Kara, interesting one. I mean, we've lost DK, 6'2", 200 pounds. Urchin Kara, same in height, no one's going to match DK in pounds, but it's interesting that we've gone after that kind of striker because we've not really had that, have we, in MLS so far?
No, but I think it's the perfect sort of mould for the team we've got at the minute. If you look at Torres, if you look at Mauricio Pereira, they're all sort of players that want to get in and around the striker and kind of feed off those second balls. Obviously, Kara's a guy who's played at a high level in Austria. He's played in the Europa League. I think he even played in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So he's, he's probably the signing that I'm probably the most confident about in terms of like goal output.
Yeah.
I know that might seem a bit of an oxymoron because he is a striker and that's what you'd be expecting, but
yeah.
He's proven in that regard. And like you say, he's 25, 26. He's been around for a few years.
Yeah.
We just hope he's fit. We understand it is day to day, but so it's not as serious as we first feared. But yeah, he's one I'm excited about, definitely.
Yeah, our hearts were going. Dan's right. Our hearts were going last week, and then we saw that he was fit enough to at least go and attend the Magic game, whoever they were playing recently. So yeah, it was a short pre-season. We've had scrimmages almost every other day, and it is day to day with Urchin Kara. We understand at the moment. So hopefully he's leading the line, and like I said, Torres is the signing that steals the headlines. But I'm super excited for Chara because. He is prolific. We all talk about, will their form in other leagues translate to Major League Soccer? And it's hit and miss. You can list a load of players, some that you thought would be great and weren't, some that you've never heard of and amazing. But you don't lose the knack of hitting the net regularly. And looking at Kara's goal record at Rapid Vienna, the Giants over there in Austria, domestically speaking anyway, 27 in 58. So that's pretty much a goal every 2 games. I don't think you lose the knack of scoring. So I'm hoping one of the 2 gets a goal on the home opener against CF Montreal, just to bed in and really feel like they're part of the new team. So hopefully we get that. Now moving on, Pedro Galaiso, one of our key players, our Orlando City UK double player of the year, the last 2 seasons running. And I don't think anyone can disagree with that. He has been such a breath of fresh air in goal for us. Some of the saves he makes, I don't see other goalies make the saves he makes, to be quite honest with you. But Dan, how pleased are you to see Galaise remaining at Exploria Stadium in 2022? Because in the off-season, there were murmurings that he could have moved on.
I don't think he gets the credit from observers of MLS nationally that he deserves. I remember last year, I can't remember who won goalkeeper of the year. I think it might have been Blake. But he was quite far down the list. He wasn't far down the list, but he was further down the list than he should have been. I think he was 4th or 5th. And it's hang on, this is a guy who's the Peruvian #1 goalkeeper. He's been linked with some of the biggest clubs in the world in the past. I think Arsenal were in for him at one point. Olympiacos was one. I think that, he is a top goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He could play at the highest level and you kind of wouldn't bat an eyelid. For me, he's the best goalkeeper in MLS. It's not even close.
Yeah.
And that's no slight on the other goalkeepers. I am a little bit biased, but like you say, just a tiny bit. Like I say, the saves he makes, the command of his area, it's just his presence behind the back 4. You just feel so much more comfortable. And that's no slight on Adam Grimwis or Mason Steidehaar.
Yeah.
Both who are reliable, in my opinion. But he's just another level. I would love to go through all the games last year because he must have won us 10 to 12 points.
Well, that is what he does, isn't it? El Pulpo.
Yeah.
A lot of the players out of South America, Torres, El Cuervo, the Crow is his nickname. They all have a nickname and tag. And Galaise lives up to this octopus thing, game in, game out, doesn't he? I mean, we were used to Joe Bendick years ago, wasn't he? Great shot stopper. He was capable of pulling off, some sublime saves, but it's how regular Galaise does it. It's almost an arrogance, that he's going to save it. And he's been a real game changer. So I'm so happy that he's still a Lion. It amazes me really that he's never found a way to Europe because, it's our game. He's still at Orlando City, but I'm right there with you. Obviously, that biased, but he was the MLS All-Star starting goalkeeper. He is right up there, and The thing is, this is what I was going to say as well. The thing is, you lay down our roster now, and it's got some depth now. We've got quality, but there's a lot of internationals in there now. This wasn't one of our scripted questions. I've just thought of it now, but there's a lot of internationals. Kara on the fringes of the Austrian national team. I think he's had about 6 caps. Could potentially be called up long haul to Europe. Torres, is going to be a mainstay in the Uruguayan national team. Galaise is our guy that he always goes for Peru because he's one of their best players. Is that something that worries you? The amount of guys that we've got who are quality players. It's great once Oscar can call on them, but does it worry you just how many internationals we've got now, or is it a positive?
Ordinarily, in a normal World Cup year, it would absolutely terrify me. Because obviously they would be going through the summertime sadness would be very, very much in play. I think that probably our only saving grace is the fact that the World Cup's going to be in the winter this year. They will obviously be away for periods of friendlies and qualifiers and whatever else, but I'm not too worried. Like you say, like Kara's not necessarily like a mainstay of the squad, so he may or may not be going depending on what happens with us. But yeah, I'm not too worried. I would be a lot more worried, like I say, if the World Cup was in the summer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too concerned about that, to be honest.
Yeah. That's a key point, actually. The World Cup in Qatar, obviously, the first winter World Cup. And that is a key point. There will be FIFA windows throughout 2022, international friendlies and stuff like that. But if it was in the middle of the season, we'd be panicking, I think. So that's a real good point there. Moving on, listening to Extra Time, Weeby, David Gass, Matt Doyle in the week, and listening to their MLS season preview. They did this, and I asked it of Charlotte before last season. I'm going to ask it of you as well. They say, what is Orlando City's potential dog surrounded by fire? You know the meme, the everything is fine meme that we always see on Twitter. What is Orlando City's potential dog surrounded by fire moment? Is it whether Torres struggles to adapt to MLS? Is it Galaise getting hurt for any length of time? What do you think?
Sorry, I'm kind of smirking because I almost don't want to say it just in case it happens. So I am touching wood, everyone. Instantly, as soon as you said it, I knew what I was going to say. The dreaded lower body injury for Facundo Torres, yes. Cara, Pereira, Pato, any of those guys, or all of them. I think that is definitely the dog surrounded by the burning house. Yeah. Again, I am touching wood, so you can hear it.
Yeah.
So if that happens, it wasn't my fault.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, and this is it, isn't it? When you bring in, when you've had a relatively successful era before in Nani and DK, guys that what they're going to give you. They're going to give you goals, they're going to give you assists. There's a lot on Torres and Cara this season, isn't there? And if one of those two were to get injured in the first few weeks of the season, obviously we know Pato's injury record and Tesho, who splits opinion, who's a workhorse but not prolific. God, just talking about that worries me.
I have touched wood. It's not going to happen. It's all going to be fine.
Hopefully. As well, I'm trying to think throughout the rest of the squad. We've been in the weeks leading up to the season at Orlando City UK. You would have seen our Excel spreadsheet where we've attempted to map out the depth, that Oscar Pereira can call upon this season. And having mapped that out, it allows you to really see where the potential gaps are. And Mauricio Pereira, he's a player that I'll be quite honest, I wasn't expecting him to return for 2022. I thought the club might have let him go, but I think that could potentially be shrewd. We didn't see the best of him. He faded in 2021. But when he's on song, we know what he can give up the Orlando City attack. And, the kind of more, the weeks went along, I kind of got why they kept him. Obviously, he's got fellow Uruguayans now in Araujo and Torres, as an experienced guy to help them bed in, familiar Uruguayans. But yeah, left back. We always seem to talk about left back going into every season. And it's the fact that João Moutinho's injury record is just it's just not the prettiest, is it? Now, on our graphics, like I fully expect to see, where Orlando have kind of made reinforcements through youth at right back. I think we're going to see a lot of Kyle Smith there again this season. What did you make of Smith at left back? A solid, dependable guy, but we just don't seem to have that attacking nous. Smith doesn't give you that. What do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree, to be honest. I love Kyle Smith. He's the accountant. He's great. At right back, I think he's a great option. He does well at left back. He's like you say, solid defensively. He's a square peg to put in a round hole when you really need it. But you do lose some of that attacking impetus. And it's interesting, actually, talking about Mauricio Pereira. This was something I picked up on last year, which I believe kind of impacted his performance.
Yeah.
Not saying it was Kyle Smith's fault at all, obviously. But if you looked at our left side for quite a few games last year, we had Smith at left back, we had Nani on the left, and you've got Pereira in the middle. You've got Kyle Smith, who has to cut inside to play the ball, so he's kind of pushing in. You've got Nani, who isn't, he lost his pace. Yeah. He wasn't the flying winger he was at Manchester United. He was more of an inverted forward.
Yeah.
There was a lot of congestion on that side, so I kind of felt like the space was snuffed out a little bit of Pereira. And I noticed it at quite a few games last year that when the ball would come out to Smith, like the opposition right winger and striker would instantly press him and try and show him inside, because it just totally deletes that out ball down the left. And just kind of makes the left-hand side pointless. And it really congested in the space. So I do feel like that really impacted Pereira quite a bit last season. So I'm not convinced it's a long-term option we should be using. Like I say, he's great, square peg in a round hole. You've got an injury crisis. You need somebody to fill in. Fantastic. But I don't think it should be a long-term option.
But this is it, isn't it? And obviously in 2022, we've got, it's fantastic because we're going to be playing sides we haven't played for a few years. We've got a lot more cross-conference matchups, which I'm super excited about. I mean, we have Galaise, LAFC Timbers early on in the season, and it is how we set up. Like you say, Kyle Smith can do a job at left back. We've seen it, and do a solid job there. He could be perfect, for those long-haul road games. At Exploria Stadium this season, I want to see us really go after the opposition early on. And we're a completely different animal, really, when you have a fully fit João Moutinho who does get up, has quality on his crosses. And it's interesting to me whether Oscar Pereira deploys Facu Torres off the left wing as a left footer where Nani played, or whether he plays him as an inverted right winger where he cuts in on his left foot. That's so interesting to me where Torres lines up. And we've obviously, got a hint in the scrimmages where we've played a very attacking kind of front line. Where do you see it? I mean, we've got Van der Water as well, who loves to hug that right side and cut in. That wonderful assist against Atlanta last season was his highest point. We've got options in the wide areas, but I feel what the point you made about Pereira and his space being stifled. If you had a fully fit Moutinho, let's just daydream a sec, and Torres, left-footed down the left, then Mauricio has got that space, to spot a pass and Fred in car. I'm daydreaming, it sounds wonderful in practice, but that's what I'm most interested to see where Oscar's going to play Torres. And I really want to see us go after the opposition early on. The Florida kind of heat and conditions, I don't know whether we've fully kind of, utilised that. We were pretty strong at home last year, to be honest. We only dropped a couple of home losses, but yeah, I really want to go after teams early on in 2022. Now we're moving on to a segment. Before we get onto the miscellaneous, thanks to everyone on OC Twitter who submitted a question for Dan and myself to give an answer to on tonight's show. Alan Ronnie, Orlando City UK member, thanks for your question. He asks, with the transfer window still open, where else would you like to see Orlando City's front office strengthen the roster? You said you want to see another 3 or 4 names. Where are those names?
It's quite easy for me, to be honest. I think we need left back cover. I think we probably need centre back cover as well. And then I would like to see, if I'm being really greedy, another striker and a winger.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we just got a attacking player, I'd be quite content with that. I mean, we've got Cara, we've got Tesho who can come in and do a job.
Yeah.
Benji Michel can play there. You know, and we've not even spoken about Pato yet.
Yeah.
Assuming he stays fit. They'd be key for me, I think. I think everywhere else I'm pretty happy with. Right back, Huan and Carl Smith. You know, goalkeepers we've already spoken about. Midfield is probably the one area of the team where we're kind of stacked, actually. You know, you've got Pereira, you've got Urso, you've got Mendes, you've got all those guys. I would say definitely left back, centre back, and, you know, winger and a striker, if I'm being greedy.
Agreed for me as well. I think the defence, you know, we need another name there. Thomas Williams, quick shout out to him. Not made his Orlando City debut yet in MLS, but the club is very high on him. Left-footed centre back, so could potentially play left back, centre back, and see minutes this season. But for me, if I'm being greedy as well, I kind of kept looking at that hole where we have Mauricio Pereira as a trademark 10. Facundo Torres can play there, and a good point that a lot of Orlando City supporters made me aware of. Alexandre Pato could potentially drop in there. You know, he's played that kind of secondary striker role over the years, and that's a very good option potentially. If you ask me, with Pato, and obviously we're all like this, praying that he at least, you know, sees the field, you know, a lot this year. Terrible, really. Such a talented guy, and a guy that genuinely looks so happy to be at the club. I really hope it's his year. But, you know, with his quality of finishing, especially, maybe you want him still at the top of the field, where, you know, like if someone spots him, he will definitely be able to finish. But yeah, we've got options. I think we're looking okay. Those first couple of weeks of the off season, I think everyone was getting a little panicky. You know, we didn't have much cover, but I have to be honest. I did have faith in Ricardo Moreira, the scout, Luis Musi, and the rest of the scouting and front office. I did have faith because you know, those guys have brought in signings that have been real difference makers for us in the last couple of years. So again, looking forward to seeing the new guys. Now, another question. This one's from Gavin, our good friend at Lions blog over there. He's asking, is Pedro Galaiso worth being the highest paid goalie in MLS?
Yeah, hands down. Hands down for me. He's just, the guy's quality. Yeah. I mean, I first became aware of him at the 2018 World Cup. I was kind of kept an eye on Peru because of Yoshi Yotun, and the guy's class. For me, again, I am biased. I know I said this earlier. I am biased, but I genuinely believe he is the best goalkeeper in MLS. So he should be paid accordingly, in my opinion.
Totally agree. And when we saw the tweets in the off season, you know, where Galaise was negotiating with the club, I was sat here in the UK with my phone and I was just like, pay the man. He's shown in 2 seasons.
Give him what he wants.
Give him what he wants. I mean, he has been honestly fantastic. So I think we're both in agreement on that one. Pay him what he wants. This is a question from Saint007 on Twitter. He's asking this is interesting. Who do you think will be Orlando City's breakout player in 2022?
I'd be tempted to go for the obvious options, you know, Torres and Caras and the like. I've got a funny feeling Andres Pereira is really going to come to the forefront this year.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his. I think he's got energy. He's dynamic in midfield. He can finish as well. He's a good finisher.
Yeah.
Probably needs to work a little bit on his decision making at times, but he is young. So that, you know, that's to be expected. I just feel like a lot of, especially when Sebas Mendes was missing last year, we lacked energy in midfield.
Yeah.
Junior Urso is a workhorse, but I don't think he's got the longevity.
Yeah.
In a 90-minute setting, especially in the heat. I think he struggles towards the end. I think Pereira's got that. I would really like to see him have a big year this year, and a big year for him doesn't necessarily mean loads of goals and loads of assists, but just kind of establishing himself more in the team.
Yeah,
he's somebody that can break up play. He's somebody that can, keep the chains moving. I really rate the guy, so I would like to see him have a big year this year for sure.
Andres Pereira for Dan. For me, I'm going to go Sylvester Vanderwater. Obviously, he needs a big year. Was obviously in Chris Mueller's shadow for a lot of the season. He had his moments as well. Got his first goal, of course, away at New York Red Bulls, where we went down 2-1. Could have drawn it. He missed a chance right after as well. We could have stole a point from Harrison. But yeah, I'm going Sylvester Vanderwater. My reason being that, Mueller was a fan favourite, wasn't he? And his 2021, wasn't as successful as he would have hoped. He would admit that. But he had Vanderwater there as well. Vanderwater now down that right side where we've got Wilfredo Rivera, another young player who hasn't seen minutes yet in MLS. But on paper, as you lay it out, he could say, well, that right side, that's mine. Obviously, Benji Michel, Facundo Torres. It depends how Oscar wants to lay it out. But I'm hoping we saw flashes, didn't we, last year? And that was the frustration because he came in, with many of our imports, we didn't exactly know what to expect, but we knew he had quality. That game against Atlanta, his substitution, he turned the whole game. That was his finest hour, wasn't it, in a Orlando City jersey, scoring the equaliser to 2-2 and then bending that wonderful cross into Nani to beat, the team we love to hate. So I want to see more of that this year. And having, Torres in and people like that and Benji, as another year older, I'm hoping that pushes him to kind of, go up another level because I think a lot of us are expecting him to go that next level this season. And I'm confident he's going to do it. So Saint 007, you've got Pereira and Vanderwater. We'll see how it plans out. Next question. This is from your buddy, not Mike Duncan on Twitter. He's asking, this is an interesting one. Where do you think Orlando City's biggest weakness lies? And it's kind of a follow-up question. Is there an option in MLS you would like to buy or trade for?
I would go out and get Raul Ruidiaz in a heartbeat.
Wow.
Yeah, just shooting straight for the top.
MLS Cup. Helps MLS Cup.
Yeah. It also really pains me to say, but Joseph, I hate the guy, but as a footballer in MLS, as a striker, yeah.
It would just be great so he couldn't score against us, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, just repeat the first part of the question. I kind of got sidetracked dreaming about Ruidiaz.
Yeah, no, you and me both. The first part was, where is Orlando City's biggest weakness?
Yeah, definitely left back for me. Just in terms of depth, if nothing else. Obviously, like you alluded to earlier, you've got Moutinho, questionable injury record. If I'm being honest, I'm not 100% sold on him anyway. Yeah, I think he's a good player. Like I say, he's got quality deliveries. I'm one of those bombing on fullback kind of guys. Yeah. I love Juan. Like his final ball is highly questionable at times, but yeah. I love those fullbacks that kind of just bomb on, and you don't really get that as much from Moutinho. He's more likely to cross it from deep or kind of work the ball inside. Yeah. That's me being really nitpicky though, to be honest. But yeah, I'd definitely say left back is the biggest weakness.
I can't disagree with you there. And to answer Mike's second question, it segues from yours. Kemar Lawrence is the is the left back. I think would do a really good job for Orlando City. Obviously, was a veteran at New York Red Bulls, top left back in Major League Soccer, winning his time with them. At Toronto FC now, was a big signing for them last season. It's not really worked for him up there. Experienced Jamaican international. I would love to see a left back that we know, and like I said, this is no slight on Moutinho. I'm sure no one in the world would have wanted to be on the pitch more than Moutinho, but I just want a left back that, we can 100% rely on. Like, we know Juan is going to, keep himself in great shape and start most of the games. Left back, there will be a season we go into it, we won't be talking about left back at all. And I hope that's sooner rather than later. So Kemar Lawrence is who I would go after personally. What else have we got here? Yes, one from Marima again. And yes, I did want to speak about this. So she was asking, we're obviously, days away now, aren't we? Sunday, the home opener against CF Montreal. And on that note, Orlando City always at home on the first day of the season. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. And crunching the numbers this week, it's mental. Crunching the numbers this week to do the positive spin, unbeaten in all MLS home openers so far. On the downside, we've won 1 of 7 home openers. The other 6 have been draws. Can you believe that?
It's crazy.
So if you're a betting man, bet a draw. Hopefully we can get a win. But Marima's question, to go back to it, she's asking what would Oscar's starting lineup be? And obviously we're taking into account, the players' fitness and stuff like that now. If you ask me, I'll go first and then I'll let you. The starting 11 that I see in my head when I go to sleep at night, is Galaise in goal, Juan at right back, Antonio Carlos right centre back, Janssen left centre back, Kyle Smith left back. I think we'll see him start the weekend against Montreal. Sebas Mendes Jr. Urso, that continuity in midfield. And then this is an 11 where everyone's fit, and hopefully everyone is on Sunday. And then you've got the front 4 of Mauricio in the 10. I think, and it's a complete guess at this rate, but I think Oscar's going to deploy Facu Torres off the right wing, cutting in on his left foot. I think he's going to start there. Benji Michel has played on the right and the left and up top for Orlando City so far. The majority of his starts have been off the left wing, cutting in on his right. I think he has the left wing position nailed down right now. And then Erkan Kara, the lone target man in a 4-2, 4-2-3-1. That's the starting 11 that I keep thinking about in my head. Dan, what do you think is going to look like against Montreal?
Pretty similar, to be honest. One of my kind of slight bugbears with Pereira is he seems pretty married to the 4-2-3-1.
Yes.
Doesn't rarely deviates from it.
Very.
Which is probably a discussion for another time. But not that I'm against the formation. I just kind of like a bit of fluidity every now and then. But yeah, I would see Galaise in goal, Juan right back, Antonio Carlos, Robin Janssen, Kyle Smith probably as well. I think we probably see it's the double pivot, which kind of I'm second guessing myself a little bit on, because I can see Cesar Araujo, I hope I said that correctly, starting, but it's whether it's going to be over Sebas or Junior Urso. Probably over Sebas. Junior Urso is just like a mainstay of the team, isn't he? So I can probably see those two. Similar forward line, but probably slightly different positions to yourself. I can imagine Pereira being the 10. I can see Pato playing off the left and Torres playing off the right, but then kind of switching throughout the game. And then obviously Ochenkara up front is how I imagine it going. If he's not fit, then I think it'll probably be Tesho. Yeah.
And that's the nice thing, isn't it, really? Because, the guy that I think will break out this year, Van der Water, we didn't mention there. So that's key. No player on that attacking side of things, feeling too comfortable, like they've got the position nailed down. That's key, in any Major League Soccer season, with the travel and, how many games there is in quick succession. So there's our lineups, Mariama. We'll see on Sunday whether we're correct. Oscar might, completely take us by surprise. Before we move on, interesting point that you reminded me of there. Speaking about the double pivot, Junior Urso, Sebas Mendes, we've seen that a lot. Cesar Araujo, the new boy that we was our first signing of the offseason. I'm really interested to see what his game's about, because Junior Urso has been at the club a while now, not getting any younger. I love the Bear. Honestly, I love what he's brought to the team. But, his legs are getting older now. And it's interesting that we strengthened with a young guy with so much upside. And I wonder how much we see of Araujo. Maybe someone like him could have a big 2022. We shall see. Now, before we get onto the miscellaneous, which I'm really looking forward to with Dan, we've just had, certainly, besides the soccer, one of my favourite moments in any Orlando City season, the jersey launch on Friday, the Sunshine kit, which I'm about to spend a lot more money and international shipping on, as I always do. Spend way too much money on those things, but love it. We've just had the launch on Friday. It looked like a great launch to everyone that went. What are you making of the kit? I thought it was quite out there.
Yeah, I love it, to be honest. I think we've spoken about this before, but I love an out there kit. Yeah. I think growing up, being a Nottingham Forest fan, over the years, especially throughout my childhood, we very rarely deviated from the same kits every year, and it's just kind of monotonous after a while.
Booty red, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, they never really went away from even the away kits, and they would change colour every year, but it'd be the same design every time. It would either be a yellow one, a white one, or a blue one, a yellow one, a white one, or a blue one. So actually to see something that's kind of a bit of a mess, I actually really like. I love the fade between the white and kind of the purple and the orange down. It represents Florida quite well. I just think it's really smart. It's something a bit different. We've talked about the white kits. They're boring, aren't they?
They are.
There's only really one that I think it was the 2018 season that I really quite liked, but the rest they've just been pretty bland. Heart and Soul I liked as well, but nowhere near as much as this kit.
Yeah, it's super nice. Yeah, I'm in total agreement. It's super nice, and God, they had us teased, didn't they, last week? I mean, all of the Major League Soccer teams do. The kit reveals are a big part of any season, but the pictures kept coming out day after day from Orlando City of like a little portion of the kit. And I was trying to picture it in my head as the days were going by, because there were no leaks, like in previous years, there's been leaks and you'd kind of see it before. Well done to everyone at Orlando City. They kept it top secret right the way up till Friday. But I was like, what is this kit going to look like? I just couldn't piece it all together. But
it was so difficult.
Yeah,
it was. Especially when the picture of the purple waves came out. And I was like, wait, I'm sure it's an away kit this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That one
I had no idea.
Yeah, no idea. I was pleasantly surprised in the end. I knew it was going to be, mostly white. I always see the people lobbying for that kind of, throwback red away kit or gold instead. And, Major League Soccer rules, the Orlando City change jersey is always going to be white. But yeah, they've really gone for it on the front. So can't wait to get my hands on it. And Torres is the name. I'm backing him. It's a dangerous game to play. I always get a name, but Torres is the guy that I'm high on. I'm confident he's going to be a success, and he's going on the back of mine. What about you? Or are you going plain on the back?
I'm not going to be getting mine just yet, just because I've booked another trip to Orlando. So I'll be getting mine in the coming months, I'm sure. I'm a bit worried about getting names on the back at the minute, just purely because it's not really been an issue with City players, but obviously people will know I follow the Pride just as fervently and report on them. Every single Pride jersey I've bought, they've all left.
Yeah.
So
I've seen your tweets.
I'm really like a bit nervous about it. I want to go Antonio Carlos.
Yeah, good show.
But I'm just worried the curse of the shirt will. It hasn't happened to any City players.
Knock on wood again.
Yeah, it hasn't happened to any City players yet. I've got Pato, I've got Schlegel, a few others. It hasn't happened to any of them yet, but I'm just not. I might not chance it. I might go blank.
Watch this space. Now we've reached the time. It's our Orlando City miscellaneous segment. As you can imagine now, if you're still listening, me and Dan could speak about Orlando City until the opener on Sunday. We could just keep going with it. But to attempt to cover everything, I've designed this miscellaneous section, which is basically a quick fire series of Orlando City questions, couple of moments on each, because there's lots I want to ask you. And they're just, in general, we'll just get going with it and you'll get a flavour of what it's all about. First one, the latest you've stayed up watching the team?
It would have been one of the West Coast games. Probably Portland, I think, was about 5:45 by the time it had all finished. Any of those West Coast games are rough over here, aren't they?
They are brutal.
Galaxy, Portland, whoever it is. Yeah, they are difficult.
And I feel like every year I get older, I'm always going to do it because I love the club, but it gets hard. I remember in those early years, like nothing seemed to faze me. They are brutal, but the recent seasons I've been struggling with some of the midnights on the year.
Yeah, so, especially since I've had kids as well. It's really hard.
Yeah, it won't get.
Still gonna persevere though.
We find ways. Favorite tifo so far? There's lots to choose from now, of course.
Yeah, it's definitely the. I've gained more of an admiration of tifos because I don't know about Arsenal, but like Forest have been doing them even more regularly recently. So for me, in terms of Orlando ones, it was the Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Atlanta one.
Walking
I just thought that was great.
That was cool.
I feel like that's the sort of tifo that wouldn't be allowed in the ground here because it was quite violent, wasn't it? But I love.
Yeah. Naturally against Atlanta, right? Violence,
Yeah,
we're always flicking violence on when we play those guys.
Yeah, it's the one that my mind instantly jumps to every time somebody mentions an Orlando City tifo. Yeah. It's just that baseball bat over Miguel Almiron's head.
100%. And jumping away from the questions, you've just reminded me there. We speak about Atlanta a lot. And it's a rivalry that has been manufactured, but there is genuine ill feeling, I think, there now. More so between the supporters than on the field. But I think you've seen, haven't you, in certainly the last 2 seasons since Orlando have kind of hit back and got some results over them. That the animosity is growing, and I'm here for it because every league in the world needs that rivalry. And I've got to admit, Arsenal, you're looking when the Tottenham game is home and away every season. Atlanta United still, despite Miami, that's the team. I look when we're playing them. They're the team I love to beat the most.
Yes, it's the same for me as well. As much as I dislike Miami, Atlanta it was manufactured to an extent. I do agree with that, but I feel like even manufactured rivalries can bring out genuine disdain. Even the other week when I was in Orlando, I was at the hotel at Disney, and there was a guy in an Atlanta shirt checking in at the same time as me, and the look of disgust on his face because I was wearing my Orlando shirt at the time, and I was like, "You all right?"
Yeah.
I was surprised your plastic hasn't melted in this heat, but that kind of thing. It's a genuine animosity now. They are. I kind of liken them a little bit to that whole noisy neighbour thing that we saw with Manchester City and United with the billboard and you know, or that sort of thing. And their fans, they are insufferable, aren't they? Let's not beat around the bush.
I mean, the thing I really want to tick off the Orlando City bucket list this season, not my bucket list, but the team's bucket list. We got that first win in enemy territory in Fort Lauderdale last season. So sweet. I mean, it is one of the hardest places to go in MLS Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but a win that we've won there, you know, once, but a win in front of their crowd. I mean, that's what I want out of 2022. Oh, after the 3-0 last season, that was a disgrace from Orlando City. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping for this season. We've deviated on our Atlanta hate there. It's easily done.
Yeah,
moving on.
I could carry on about that, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on. Your most prized Orlando City jersey? Oh, I think we've lost you on mute there, Dan. But I think we...
Awkward. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I think I accidentally slid over the button. I think it's probably actually this one. Shout out to Mike, who we mentioned earlier, who actually bought me this as a surprise, but it's the Schlegel
nice
penalty shootout shirt. Just because that, like, it was such a lovely surprise when he mailed it over, because he's like my best mate. But yeah, he sent that over, but I just remember like that game was just incredible. Like, it was so stupid when you look back on it, like the mistakes that were made in that shootout, like why we thought we could bring on another goalkeeper is beyond me. Because, but he just went in. I was actually taken back to this moment at the City Ground the other week because our goalkeeper got sent off and we'd made all of our substitutions and our centre half went in goal to face a penalty. And I was just like, oh, this is
took you back to the moment.
I think, yeah, it actually took me right back to it. But just I've actually got a clipping of the Orlando Sentinel newspaper on my that framed on the staircase in my house.
Lovely.
Of just the joy on his face when he's like celebrating that save. Oh, it was just incredible. Like, I was jumping around the living room, like screaming. It was just amazing. So just for all of those reasons, it's definitely this one.
Yeah, it still gives me goosebumps, that moment. Sport, you know, you think you've seen it all. You know, I'm not even going to ask this. Everyone knows that moment, you know, if you're an Orlando City supporter. But just, you know, when you're feeling down or, you know, you've got a moment, just go back and watch that shootout. The feelings, you know, the emotions. When I was watching it live, I was a mess. The people that were in the stadium, that's what I often think as well. The people on the wall that were right behind that, I mean, what were they thinking? I mean, what a moment. What a moment. Next one. Your angriest moment supporting Orlando City so far?
Oh, I'm still angry about it. It's still the Nashville call. Like, I wrote my preview for the Montreal game the other day, and I mentioned it, and I was typing, and I actually like felt my hands like tense up because I'm still angry about it. It was ridiculous, wasn't it? Like, and I think the thing that annoyed me the most about it, aside from you know what it meant in terms of the game and our overall league position and stuff like that, the way MLS paraded it like it was something that was great.
It didn't sit well.
It was just that the league has made so much good progress over the years. That is so tin pot.
Very.
There's really no other way of putting it.
Very.
If that happens in the Premier League or in Serie A or La Liga or any other top league,
shocking.
You know, the news outlets will cover it. The league won't even mention it.
Yeah. Exactly.
They'll be like, "That is horrendous."
Yeah.
Like, we need to sort that out. And MLS just was. There was a dramatic video and everything. It was just like, that was
an interview. There was an interview with Chapman. Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely, and it annoyed me to the point when I was in Orlando a few weeks ago. I remember tweeting about this, and I got quite a few comments back. There was a guy at the pool. It wasn't Alan Chapman, but he looked so much like Alan Chapman. And I was sat there looking at him thinking, I swear to God, if you're Alan Chapman, he
Oh
just
man,
looks
you've
so much like that. Is by far and away
yeah.
like my angriest moment following this season.
I can't disagree with that. For years, for me, it was a game away at Crewe where Patrick Mullins completely, did his best dive impression in front of RJ Allen. But I think the Alan Chapman one, because of the magnitude of the game, what was on it, I think it's surpassed it now. And before I move on, what I always think about that moment was, what if the boys didn't go up to Montreal and get the business done? What that would have meant, both, mentally for the supporters and the club, but also financially, potentially missing out on a playoffs game. Just a balmy decision. I'm getting angry just thinking about it. Got to move on. When did Orlando? Yeah, I think best. When did Orlando City make you cheer the loudest? For me, still, because I relived it the other day. The LAFC MLS is back shootout. Because nobody expected us to do it. I think that's the highest I've been so far. What about you?
I think it's difficult for us, like English supporters, because usually we're just kind of silently jumping around the living room because it's like 2:00 in the morning. We don't want to wake everybody up. Yeah. For me, probably the loudest I've been was actually in stadium. It was the New England game from 2019, where Nani scored that incredible equaliser quite late in the game. I was just jumping around, like beer was flying everywhere. I was like hugging people I'd never even met. It was just like, that was one of my favourite, not even just Orlando City memories, that is genuinely one of my favourite ever memories, just because it was just such a great goal. I remember being there at half time, 3-1 down, and I was like, I've come here again and I've still not seen us win. I'm going to lose. I'd been at the LAFC game a few days earlier as well, and we hadn't won that either. And I was just like, I was thoroughly depressed. I was absolutely miserable. But then when that went in, I was just pure elation. It was great. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah. That was the goal when he jinked left, jinked right. Then I think he scored a goal.
Such a great goal as well.
It was a brilliant goal. Everything that Nani was about in his time with the club in that moment, for sure.
Yeah.
This one, hopping on the monorail at MCO, when you've just got to the gate, or stepping out on the set down, feeling that Florida heat for the first time. What is the better moment?
That's definitely the monorail for me. I love hearing Buddy Dyer just welcoming us back, and you can, like, the way the monorail goes, you can just, like, the view is, I think the view's great. I mean, awesome. You can see really far. You see the actual airport, and it's just, that's when I know I've arrived then. Yeah. Because to me, like, stepping off the plane and feeling the heat, I could be anywhere. But that's where my mind goes to with Orlando, and seeing that carpet in the airport as well. Yeah. I love it. I keep saying I'm going to buy those airport socks, and I never do. I need to get that sorted.
I need a pair of those as well. Yeah, they're awesome. The welcome to Orlando, buddy. That is the moment for me as well. Love it. It's pure nostalgia, but it never gets old. Like the city itself. Favorite Orlando City player so far? That's a big one. There's many to choose from now.
What, overall, or just this team?
Yeah, let's say USL and MLS combined, Joe.
I'm probably going to get pelters for this, to be honest. But aside from the obvious, which would be Kaka, Dom Dwyer. Yeah. I am of the USL era.
Yeah.
And my first game was a USL game. The guy scored a hatful for us. Like, David Valentin said it the other day, and I knew what he was getting at, and I do agree to him. Do agree with him to an extent. He did get us MLS. Like, we don't get MLS without those championship trophies.
Very good point.
We just don't, especially the second one. We don't. So he was a huge part of it. He isn't obviously the only reason, but he's a massive part of it. It's just a shame, obviously, the way it ended in MLS, and the kind of, He did frustrate me a lot towards the end, but
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said he wasn't one of my favourite all-time players. But aside from him, definitely Kaká.
Yeah.
And actually, I know he's not done much for us yet, but Pato, I'm an unashamed Pato fanboy.
Yeah.
I loved him in his days at Milan, so I really hope it works out, because he's definitely going to be up there too.
Me too for sure. Quick word on Dwyer. Could be seeing him in an Atlanta United jersey. Can you believe that sometimes?
Yeah,
that
worries me.
Yeah, that is going to be something. Favorite spot to hang pre-game before going through the gates at Exploria?
Oh, we've kind of gotten into a little bit of a routine. I don't know whether it will change now, because my wife's actually got a gluten allergy, so the place we go is like absolutely useless now.
Yeah.
But we used to go to Four Rivers Smokehouse before, and then it would just be like straight into the stadium, just having a drink, just kind of milling around. I would spend, untold amounts of money in the den. Yeah, that's the usual. I'm partial to a cheeky Culver's as well, on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's a fast food chain that I just love. So yeah, we kind of have that little routine. We'll go to one of those places and then just head into the stadium and just kind of soak up the atmosphere. I've done Church Street a couple of times. I haven't really done a tailgate yet, to be honest, but I'm quite a ritualistic creature. I like my routines. Yeah. So I just love being at the stadium as well. I will happily get there like an hour before the game and have drinks there, even though they're stupidly priced. But I just like walking up and down the concourse and just kind of taking it all in, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing for us. Orlando City UK supporters, I mean, the guys, you guys over there in the States who go week in, week out, who have season tickets, that's the whole allure for us. We try and pack as many games into a small period as possible, because I'm just like Dan, on game day, I want to be there hours before, because, I want to look in the den. I want to be in the tailgate. I want that time, like Dan said, just walking up and down the concourses, taking things in, seeing the players. There's just so much to do in those hours leading up to kickoff. And, sometimes I find it, like stressful in a good way, because there's so much you want to be doing and you can only kind of achieve so much in that time. For me personally, Jeff Thompson, we're good friends with, my family, who's over at the Broken Cauldron tap room on West Church Street. That's usually where you'll find me during our trips, in the Ruckus tailgate out the back. Dan, you have to get yourself in there. Great fun in there over the years. But like guys, like putting beers in my hand and, giving me the flares before the march. Just got goosebumps thinking about it. That's a good spot if any English supporter's not been to an Orlando City game before. That's where the marches start. The marches you always see on social media always starts probably around 40 minutes to 30 minutes before kickoff. The Broken Cauldron tap room, the back lot, it kind of starts from there and makes its way along West Church Street. Is a good place to hang, but some good shouts as well from Dan. There's lots of choices available in those hours leading up to kickoff. 4 more I've got. This one's pretty easy. Well, I think it's easy. Most hated rival club in Major League Soccer.
Atlanta, definitely.
Simple. Yeah.
I kind of see it. I don't like Miami, and I've kind of never really liked Miami sports fans generally, like following NFL and stuff like that. But to me, they're the annoying little brother.
Yeah.
You just kind of want to put in their place every now and then. Whereas obviously Atlanta have won MLS Cup, and there's a bit more history with them. There's a bit more bad blood. Yeah. I see that as that's the one I instantly go to. Yeah. I kind of liken the rivalry with Miami a bit like the one between Nottingham Forest and Notts County. Yeah. We don't like them, and we don't want to let them beat us. Yeah. But it's not the big one. Yeah.
Exactly. With Arsenal as well, and Chelsea and Tottenham. Inter Miami's the Chelsea, Atlanta's the Tottenham. I will take myself back to the moment last season. We got years and years of rubbish, and well deserved, because we were a poor Major League Soccer side when Joseph Martinez was just inflicting goal after goal after goal against us. When we beat them last season, after he scored, in 30 seconds or whatever it was, and I thought, here we go again. When we won that, and I just saw his face on the sideline, I got as passionate as I do about Arsenal in really I hate you and we've beat you. And that's what I think we're all going to experience in the years to come. Joseph will move on, his time at Atlanta will come to an end. There'll be more villains as we go through Orlando City history. But yeah, the bad blood from me is with those guys. And, let's be honest, they've won MLS Cup and it stings. So until we, win that, we won't be level. So those are the guys I've gone after.
I had that image of his face as my phone background for a week after that game.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I don't blame you at all. Joseph Martinez. Okay, so penultimate question. Well, I've just skipped the question, but it's Joseph Martinez, biggest Orlando City villain. Also, shout out for LGP. Is he at Miami still? Leandro Gonzalez Perez? I don't know whether he moved on this offseason.
Don't know, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like he is.
Yeah. And he is by default because he's played for Atlanta and Miami, but that's a guy who's just always kind of getting under the skin of Orlando City supporters. Sickest 2022 jersey drop besides Orlando City's Sunshine kit.
That was kind of, there's been some good ones this year.
It has.
That was a tough one. I'd probably say it's neck and neck between Portland and LAFC. I really like the LAFC one. Yeah. Portland, as an organisation, have been putting out some great kits for years. Even on Timbers and the Fawns. Yeah. But yeah, I'd probably just go for LAFC, but it's neck and neck between those two. I thought they just do. LAFC is their kit is sleek. It looks smart. It looks like they mean business. I know that sounds really cheesy, but it looks sleek, and I like that. But Portland's is just a bit different. You don't see many jerseys like that. I like that sort of ingenuity.
Yeah, there was some good ones there. I have to agree with you as well. I'm someone, especially with the Major League Soccer kits, which are heavy templated, as we've seen over the years. I've got time for the Timbers one as well. I don't mind the Charlotte home and away as well. And I'm really looking forward to
that's a nice one.
Playing those guys this season as well. A new expansion side, of course. That's almost our time. Last miscellaneous one. Favorite MLS stadium besides Explorer, of course.
It's kind of hard to say, really, because I've only really been to Camping World or Explorer. Yeah. I've been to other US cities, but I've just never, I've been to New York, I've been to LA, I've been to those places, but I've never wanted to see their stadium enough to actually go and see it. I've only really been to the Orlando ones. So I think just on the in terms of the way it comes across atmosphere wise on TV, Portland just looks like it has a great atmosphere. And obviously following the NWSL just as much as I do the MLS, their atmosphere is kind of widely regarded to be the very best in women's football. So they just seem really passionate, and it seems like it'd be a fun place to go and watch a game sometime.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely ask Barney, can't we? UK NYCFC, our good pal, who now has a star above his chest, which we're all very jealous about. But I can't hate on that guy. I mean, our friend Barney went to MLS Cup. Very last minute, spontaneous trip at Timbers away, which I share that with Dan. I would love to go to Providence Park someday, and won the whole thing. Dreams coming true. Hopefully, something can happen like that for us this season. Who knows? That's the dream, home playoff game is the benchmark. MLS Cup, let's dream. It's got to happen someday.
Somebody's got to win it.
Somebody's got to win it. Why not us? Let's end it on that positive note. But that's almost our time up for today. So I want to say a big, big thank you to Dan for speaking to us. That's our 2022 Orlando City SC preview. It's a big, big season. There's some new faces. Can't wait for Sunday to come around. Hoping the week speeds up, and also hoping that we're on TV. We've still not had the TV schedule for Sky Sports. Or actually, no, I think they're showing Miami again. Shock horror. But can't wait to watch the game. It's an early one on Sunday, 6 p.m. It's not going to get any earlier than that. So if you're interested, stick around after the Carabao Cup final. But we'll be rooting for the boys on Sunday and all season long. Until next time, folks, thank you, Dan, and Vamos Orlando.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.